hi, allemaal van julle weet natuurlijk wat vandag is. Vandag is Wiskunde Woensdag. Yes, jy het dit verwag. Jy weet, ons vier dit elke Woensdag. En dit beteken natuurlijk, ek het iets spesiaal in stoor net vir jou. Nou, vandag is redelik spesiaal, want ek gaan met julle deel my spesiale ontmoeting met die Mathematician. En dis niemand anders as Professor Arthur Benjamin. Nou, ek nou dit deel op my WhatsApp status, daar was baie mense wat gesê het, ek het hom gehoor op KFM, en hy was vreeslik interessant, en hy het vir hulle heeltemal betower met sy talent, so ek het nog geweet, hy was op KFM gewees, maar ek het hom toe ontmoet, en natuurlijk, net vir julle, het ek seker gemaak, ek sneak 'n vinnige onderhoud met hom in, so ek gaan nou vir julle onmiddellik daai onderhoud speel met hom, onthou nou, ek praat nou Engels, want hy is oorspronklik van Cleveland, Ohio, maar hy woon nou in VSA, en so is alles nou in Engels, so wees toch nog geduldig nie, as hy al woordjies slip of enige iets soos daai. Maar in elk geval, kyk gerus na my onderhoud met Professor Arthur Benjamin. So I'm chatting to Professor Benjamin, and he blessed us with his amazing talent here at Parklands College, and I'm just chatting to him really quickly, just have 5 questions to ask you.
Go ahead.
So it is true, just before I ask this, that you did all the calculations by yourself?
Yes, I did.
And that you did not route study all the answers?
No, I've not memorized anything. It's all actual calculation.
Yeah. So how does one become that intelligent or good at mathematics?
Well, there are 2 parts to it. And of course, I've loved mathematics, Wiskunde,
Yes,
all
yes,
my
yes.
life. And so there's 2 parts. One is knowing the right technique for doing the problem. For example, I do all of my calculations from left to right. This allows me to start to say my answer while I'm still calculating the rest of the answer.
Wow.
That's the technique. And then once you get good at that technique, you practice it and practice it a lot, and that's what gives you the speed. But you have to be using the right technique. It would be like playing a piano.
Yeah.
If you only ever used one finger on each hand, you could only do so much. But you know, it might be awkward to use all 10 fingers, but once you do, you can do amazing things. But it takes practice.
Yeah. But then also with that, you were able to identify how many digits the answer will be beforehand, even though you're still calculating. So how do
Well, that's a very good question, which is one of something that is not emphasized in school enough is the art of estimation. You know, so for example, it would be so easy to teach in school. Like if you multiply a 4-digit number times a 4-digit number, how many digits are in the answer? Well, 4 plus 4 is 8.
Okay.
Or 1 less, 7.
Right.
Just like when you multiply 2 1-digit numbers, you usually get a 2-digit number, but you could get a 1-digit number, like 3 times 2 is 6. So that idea that if you take a number with A digits times a number with B digits, then the answer will have A plus B digits, possibly minus 1.
Okay.
Even more important, when we do division, if we do A digits divided by B digits, then the answer will usually have A minus B digits, possibly plus 1.
Yeah.
And that's all depending on whether the first digit of A is bigger than the first digit of B, and that'll tell you.
So you're also very entertaining. You actually, I would say you're a bit of a comedian even.
Oh, thank you.
You bring a lot of spark to the performance that you actually have.
I think of it as a performance.
Yeah, and so I was wondering if those mistakes that you make, is it part of the performance?
Oh,
Or
no,
do
no.
you actually...
When I make mistakes, they are honest mistakes.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
it is a challenge to do maths, and it's a challenge to do it on a stage. So I'm combining I'm thinking about a lot of things up there, but it's also okay to send the message that mistakes are part of doing mathematics, and we learn from mistakes. Yeah. So don't be afraid of it.
You also mentioned that you were one of the busier kids in class, so you were diagnosed with ADHD.
Yes.
Was that the reason or motivation behind making math a little bit more fun for the kids in class?
No, I didn't think, I never really thought much about the ADHD until people were asking me, what were you like as a kid? And I said, well, you know what, did your teachers think you were a math genius? And I said, no, my teachers thought I was a pain in the neck. I was a behavioral problem. I was sent to the principal's office because I was so focused on me, and I was a real distraction. And I've now taught many students as a college professor who are that way, and I have a lot of sympathy and patience for them. But I can understand when you're trying to teach everybody and there's one person who's like me. Yeah. So, but over time, you learn how to become more socially acceptable.
Yeah. Just 2 more questions. The next one is, you love magic and you love maths.
I do.
How did you decide to combine those two? When was the moment when you realized I could actually make these two amazing together?
You know, I was performing magic for many years before I performed maths. I was doing, like many magicians, I performed magic for children, 5-year-old, 4, 5, 6-year-olds at birthday parties. I was the great Benjamini doing magic shows throughout, my city.
Pulling the rabbit out of the hat.
Yes, exactly, that kind of thing, and falling on my tush and making the kids laugh. And then eventually, as I got older, I started getting invitations to perform for older audiences. And my father suggested, he said, because I had independently developed some of these quick maths methods, and my father said, why don't you put some of that into the show? I think that's more impressive. I think that's as impressive as any magic trick that you do. So I said, okay, let me see if they like it, and they loved it. And because it was genuine, because it wasn't a trick. If you pull a rabbit out of a hat, or you pretend to read somebody's mind, well, then they think there's a trick. But if you actually just give them the answer very quickly to a math problem, it's like, wow, that's impressive. So I said, well, gee, if they liked that, imagine if I did bigger problems and I did them faster. And so I would just practice, and when I going to bed at night, I'd think about doing problems, and if I put me to sleep, great. If I figured out the problem, that's good too. And so it was around the end of my high school, beginning of university, when I started performing this math show. And what I liked about it was, unlike doing a magic show, I was completely free to explain everything after the show. So it wasn't just a show, it was education. It was show and tell. Because I think the understanding how it works and why it works is just as interesting to me than watching somebody do it. And if I can teach you and your students and your teachers how they can do it, then it's just so much more rewarding.
Love it. I think that's so important, because a lot of times magic might come across as quick tricks,
right?
Which a lot of people might be against, because then you lose the conceptual skills that you need to learn in mathematics.
That's right.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's good to teach people some easy, quick tricks to build confidence, to feel empowered. Like I taught the audience today how to multiply numbers by 11. But that's only that'll only go so far, because what if you want to multiply by 12 or 13 or 14 or any 2-digit numbers? So I've developed, and I have a book that anybody can read on Amazon called Secrets of Mental Math, and explains how to do all kinds of problems. And what I love about it is that most problems can be done many different ways, that there is more than one way to solve a problem. I think too often mathematics is used to teach people how to think with discipline, but we're missing out on an opportunity to teach, for mathematics teach people how to think with creativity.
Right.
That when I give my students problems to do in college, I often say, now solve this problem more than one way.
Right.
Because that's life. There's usually more than one way to solve a problem. And nothing trains your brain to do problem solving better than mathematics.
Beautiful. Professor Benjamin, thank you so much for your time.
Lisette, what a pleasure
And for chatting
to
to me for a few minutes.
Yes.
I took a little snapshot of the trick you taught them of adding or multiplying with 11.
Yes.
If you don't mind me adding it in this video as well.
Please do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you, great chatting to you. Thank you guys. Now you're educated about the amazing Professor Benjamin. Thank you for watching today. Have a lovely day. Okay, cool, so jy is nog altyd hier, so great, dankie dat ek vir jou kon hou tot die einde toe, want daar is nog iets. Nou, gewoonlik op Woensdag, op Wiskunde Woensdag, dan deel ek 'n spesiale video met julle vir my YouTube kanaal. So vandag is niks anders nie. Ek gaan natuurlik ook met julle 'n link deel waar jy op my YouTube kanaal kan gaan en kyk na my nuutste video. Die nuutste video gaan nog altyd oor telling en ons stel vandag aan in 3. So maak seker dat jou tellers, maak seker jou klas kyk ook saam met jou en dan tel julle lekker saam in 3. Volgende keer hoop ek tog ek het nog 'n onderhoud vir julle, maar vir nou, geniet die res van die week.